Radiant team ban.
It's the bottom of the night, and we're all knotted up in this North American slugfest. Evil Geniuses taking on Team Liquid. More than just bragging rights on the line. We're talking about a chance to advance to the next round of the G-1 Western Qualifier and a chance to potentially find themselves live on LAN across the sea. I'm EC. This is One More Game TV2. If you missed Game 1 and Game 2, you damn well better catch the VODs because it has been an absolute back-and-forth tug-of-war battle of the big boys. EG took Game 1. Team Liquid bounced back strong in Game 2. And now we're all knotted up, even though the scoreboard at the top doesn't reflect it. Come on, guys. Come on, man. I was just going to say check the scoreboard. I actually had a great segue. Come on, guys. It's okay, though. We are all knotted up. This is game number 3. And EG and Liquid looking to square off once again. And I honestly could not be happier. We only have one broadcast here today. It's our bounce back day after the problems we had last week. Getting the Western Qualifier back underway. 2 of my favorite teams, 2 of the most beloved teams on the planet, at least in terms of North American Dota. And just can't wait to see how all of this is going to pan out. The story of the game so far has really been the usage of EO. EO drafted twice by Evil Geniuses. The first time they paired it up was Finn. And Team Liquid really just kind of stagnated. They ran out of steam in trying to execute a game plan that was built to put pressure on Sven, not open the map up for EO plus Finn to gank. And to tell you the truth, they got that much of it right. The problem was they consistently found themselves in situations where they were initiated upon. Very good play out of Demon in particular was a big part of that as well. But, I mean, you know, and again, I'm not taking anything away from EG and their performance to get that Game 1 win, but mostly Liquid made a lot of mistakes. There were a lot of things they could have done differently. They put themselves in a lot of situations where they were playing from behind. And by the time their lineup basically petered out, whenever it ran out of momentum, EG was able to just stabilize itself. And the net result was that Fear had arguably the fattest, most farmed, and lethal Sven I've ever seen, having a Magnus on team to empower him, and of course the EU. EU? Yeah, that's how it's spelled now. Having, of course, the EO to overcharge him as well. Now, game number 2, Liquid took a different approach. It was a similar feeling for EG. They didn't get the Sven they wanted. They did end up drafting a Tiny, and Tiny actually benefited quite a bit from some more early mistakes out of Liquid. Liquid put themselves in an offensive tri-lane against the rather weak tri-lane of EG. It was Chen in the jungle plus EO and Tiny, so essentially a 3-on-2. And Liquid just kind of proceeded to feed a kill and lose the lane. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. EG had the map open up for them a little bit after that. You saw some real good movement out of Milk in particular. The way they played that lineup out made a lot of sense and was really tough for Liquid to deal with. But as things began to stabilize out, the execution from Liquid tightened up in a very real and very lasting way. And really the Ravage coming out of Tidehunter just wasn't quite the reset button they wanted and needed it to be. But more to the point, it was turned against them by Fluff. Fluff played an immaculate game of Dota, handling the Rubik this time instead of IX Mike. And I mean, he just played so well. And I'll tell you what the big difference was, and this is something I do want to clear up, is in the chat. You know, and I usually don't refer a lot to the chat, but I think this is a very important thing to point out so people understand just how important a mobility item is on that hero. The big difference between what Fluff was able to do and what Mike was able to do, Mike actually managed to steal some very, very good spells in Game 1 when he played on the Rubik, but he didn't build a mobility item. He didn't build a Force Staff, didn't build a Blink Dagger. Fluff did. That is the big difference in terms of how aggressively you can play Rubik in terms of trying to spell steal. And Mike, whenever he does build that way, is just as good as Fluff and vice versa. Both of them are just excellent on that hero. So just want to point that out, that, you know, Mike's performance in Game 1 wasn't quite up to the same standard as Fluff's in Game 2 on that hero. But a lot of that was due to the item choices. And of course, item choices in a game like that are collectively made. It's not as if Mike handicapped himself for whatever reason. It was just decided by the shot caller on Liquid that that wasn't going to be the item choice he needed to make. So anyway, how about we talk about Game 3 instead of Game 1 and Game 2? Looking at the draft, we can see EU. EU? Okay, is that what we're going to do, AC? We're going to screw up the pronunciation of his name? I'm trying to train myself to call him EO instead of Wisp. And eventually I'll get to it. But anyway, EO and the Lone Druid banned out by Evil Geniuses. No mag and no Bad Rider courtesy of Liquid. Liquid able to get themselves a Nyx Assassin, but to get it, they had to give away a Lifestealer and a Keeper of the Light. Now, EG, I would imagine, is going to get some sort of an Initiator, a Storm Spirit, a Queen of Pain, something like that. that, wow, they're just going to get themselves a gyro, not wanting to take any chances on that hero being banned. Now, this is really quite beautiful, and I'll tell you what this lineup looks exactly like. Like, if you were to hide the name of the top team and you said, just guess what team this is and who drafted this way, except for the Wisp ban, putting that aside, if you show me the picks and the bans so far from EG and ask me to guess what team was drafting, I would probably say LGD International. This is a lineup they love to run. They really highly prioritize all three of these heroes for damn good reason. The versatility that is inherent in Evil Genius's lineup right now is absolutely enormous, and that begins in the laning phase and goes all the way to through to the late game and how they decide to build these heroes out. They have the potential to build an offensive tri-lane around the Lifestealer with 2 more support picks and then run the Gyrocopter mid. They have the choice if they want to even run a Lifestealer mid. I've seen that a handful of times. Not common. It's not something you usually are going to see, but it does happen once in a while. Keeper can function in both an offensive and a defensive tri-lane as well. So EG is just wide open. Liquid, on the other hand, is kind of pigeonholed right now. They've got some very strong heroes, and yeah, we can see, by the way, Liquid has already taken out Storm Spirit. I would imagine their next ban will probably be something like a Queen of Pain. And any kind of high mobility heroes like that Lifestealer can infest himself into, they may end up banning the Queen of Pain and the Nature's Prophet. That actually would make a pretty solid amount of sense. But anyway, when I look at Liquid's lineup, they are a bit pigeonholed. Nyx Assassin can mid. I mean, hell, all three of those heroes can mid if they want to. But usually what you're going to see is you're going to see a Nyx Assassin. Yeah, Puck's another good example. So yeah, they'll probably ban the Puck and the Queen of Pain. You'll see a Nyx Assassin wind up 9 times out of 10 as a lane support Weaver. Does want a solo lane, but usually wants some kind of an off lane. You can also tri-lane farm him if you really want to. The problem with that is that it begins to have a very all-in feeling to it, because what you're basically doing is taking Weaver, who has some strengths. I mean, the survivability inherent in Weaver is just insane, by the way, in terms of Shikuchi, in terms of time lapse, and so on and so forth. So the hero is already very survivable. But the problem is, if you give him tri-lane farm with a defensive tri-lane, the enemy team's going to get a defensive tri-lane as well, and they're not going to be challenged, and you're not going to be farming another carry as well as you could be. And if Weaver ends up dying 2 or 3 times, he just never catches up, or it takes a long time for him to catch up. So with Liquid's lineup, I actually am kind of sniffing an offensive tri-lane. Wow, they actually banned... Okay, EG actually banned out the Queen of Pain. That's a little surprising. The Bane and the Shadow Demon bans for EG make an absurd amount of sense. Those 2 heroes, hard counter. Lifestealer and Gyrocopter both. Lifestealer in particular suffers a lot against them. Fiend's Grip from Bane. Enfeeble hurts him and Gyrocopter from Bane. And Demonic Purge is just the most miserable thing in the world for a Lifestealer. And it is so frustrating. If you play a lot of Lifestealer, you know exactly what I'm talking about. A well-played Shadow Demon will always be able to Demonic Purge you, and then he'll simply disrupt the target that you use Open Wounds on. And it basically makes you a complete non-factor. Your first Rage and Open Wounds are completely useless. And it basically makes it so Lifestealer can never face tank a fight like he normally can. Now, Liquid has added Rubik to the mix as another typical lane support. I honestly don't know how they're going to lane this. You can offensively tri-lane with Rubik, Nyx, and Weaver. That does work, and it works fairly well, because Weaver is going to be able to spam Shikuchi. Rubik can spam Fade Bolt in a few fights as well. And Nyx Assassin, just because of the strength of Carapace and how good Impale is, even with just 1 point into it, is a very good anchor hero for an offensive tri-lane. But what worries me right now is when I look at Liquid's lineup, I see a lineup that wants to fight. Yeah, and now with the Undying pickup out of EG, I think the word I would use is robust. Evil Geniuses has a very robust team that can do a lot of things well. They can team fight absurdly good early on. Right now, their big sticking point is they lack initiation. But they have Call Down, they have Rocket Barrage, they have Flat Cannon out of Gyrocopter if they want to build a Shadow Blade on him to give him just that much more punch in the mid-game. You have an Undying and all that he brings to a team fight with the bonus damage with the Tombstone and how miserable that is to fight in. Keeper of the Light with Illuminate, push and counter push, the stability he brings to a team. And then Lifestealer, who, if you're able to get him off to a good start, can not only take over in the mid-game, but can also be a damn potent late-game carry as well. And again, they still have the chance to offensively tri-lane. Like, their lanes are so wide open right now. They can offensively tri-lane with the 3 they have now. They could honestly defensively tri-lane the Lifestealer, bail out on the Gyrocopter, and send him mid. I mean, it's just wide open. Liquid, they have some flexibility too. Their lineup is not nearly as robust. Their AoE damage is okay. Their single target damage is okay. Nyx Assassin, once he hits 6, if he can get a quick 6 and have Vendetta up and ready to roll early, that'll help a lot. But Liquid just is... I'm having a hard time seeing how Liquid's going to fight. Their last pick will tell us a lot. But right now, I mean, you're going to want to hook in with the clockwork, obviously. Then Weaver's just going to do what Weaver does, which is dance around the fight, constantly Shikuchi, prioritize squishy targets, and try to drop them as quick as you can. Nyx Assassin will probably look to burst down the highest priority target. And and that all makes sense. But then what? What after that? What after Clockwork drops his cogs and hooks? Rubik needs to steal spells, and he's going to have plenty to steal. That's the one thing they do have going for them. I mean, there's so many high-value spells for him to steal on the 4 heroes that have already been drafted by Evil Geniuses. Shadow Fiend is a good hero, but again, when I see that pick, Evil Geniuses' lineup is just so robust. It is just so well-rounded. They can fight at any stage of the game. They can offensively or defensively tri-lane. Liquid, all of their heroes die really easy unless everything goes right. Like Clockwork, yeah, maybe not so much, and Nyx Assassin can kind of rely on Vendetta to get him out of trouble. But for the most part, like Shadow Fiend and Weaver, if they're locked down, and they have a lot to lock them down, well, a comparative amount, have a lot of slow effects that they can focus on. But again, the big weakness that EG is going to have, and what Liquid absolutely has to exploit here, is going to be they lack no real initiation. In fact, outside of homing missile, they don't have a stun. Yeah, they don't have a single stun outside of homing missile, now that I look at it. And homing missile, not exactly the most effective stun in the world. But they do have a lot of slows. They have a lot of things that can mess with you. They have this, and I'll run through that here in just a minute. Make sure there we go, get to the proper screen. But, when you look at their lineup, they've got the slow from Side Trap. They've got Open Wounds. They're going to have the slow inherent and cooldown. They're going to have the slow that comes off of Tombstone. EG, if they can get on top of Liquid's going to be hurting. And at the same time, and this is what I was talking about when I used the word robust, let's say Liquid does a good job of initiating, and they throw a good hook from Clockwork, and they get a good fight started. How do you stand and fight against this? How do you stand and fight against Flat Cannon, Illuminate, Tombstone, and the spill damage from Psyblades? There's just so much that works so well together for EG. In the stun department, Liquid is much better off. They have, telekinesis is disable. The mini stuns associated with battery. And Nyx Assassin, of course. But they don't have any AoE stuns either. They have cogs, which I guess technically counts, but nothing just where you just know in an AoE you're going to get somebody unless you land a hook. But this is going to be an execution match. And either team can have an advantage at any given point and any given fight if they get the jump on the other side. And that's generally true. But when you see lineups like this, where one is very, very thin but has an absurd amount of damage that they can output at once, when you're talking about the Shadow Raises from the Shadow Fiend, the right-click damage he's going to be able to bring to bear once he has a full stack of Necro Mastery, Weaver, and Geminate Attack, so on and so forth, they're going to be able to blow people up very easily. And they're going to have to, because the longer fights go on, the bigger advantage it's going to be for EG. And we are going to have an offensive tri-lane here. And this is wisely dodged, I think. Yeah, Liquid just going to bail out. This is wisely dodged by EG. Very wisely dodged. And they're going to, it's so hard. And to be honest, EG may just go ahead and bail out of here. Or they might just push the tower down. That could be a reality, too. I suspect it's going to be one or the other very quickly. And IX Mike passing through territory. Jo being forced out. Fluff doing a lot of damage with that double damage rune, actually. So, right now, he's just by his lonesome. And here comes Milk. He's just going to show himself. And go ahead and head top as well. Okay, that makes a good amount of sense. Fear is going to abandon this, yeah. This seems about right to me. Mike's actually doubled back around. So the lanes, there's a lot of lane swapping going on. We're not going to see this settle down quite yet. But what I will do is run through our lineups while we have the chance. On the Weaver, we're going to have TC farming him up. Shadow Fiend going to be played by Korok. Rubik going to be played by Fluff for the second game in the row. Fluff, my MVP for game 2, I believe. Bulba going to be taking our Clockwork mid. And Nyx Assassin, as mentioned, handled by IX Mike, who's doing a little counter warding at the moment. The other side of the river, we got Milk playing on our Keeper of the Light. Our Lifestealer going to be farmed up by Jo this time. TA going to be handled here in mid by Demon. Sexy Bambo going to be playing on our Gyrocopter, trying to farm him one-on-one against the Weaver. At least that's the way it looks now. And Fear going to be on our Undying. So I talked a bit about it during the draft phase of game 1. EG has been experimenting a lot with role switches. Fear, traditionally known as their carry, he has carried in both of the games so far, but this time he will be in that 4 role. That, 3, 4. I don't really like the number system that much. I mean, it's a good mechanic to give people a general idea of things, but, I mean, farm priority shifts so many times in most games. But yeah, he's a playmaking support, we'll put it that way. In the meantime, Korok has rotated to bottom. We currently have a 2-on-2, Jo and TC squaring off, Fluff and Melk going to be their supporting cast. And still, I mean, this mid matchup about the only one we can really talk a whole lot about confidently. The rest of them still in a bit of flux. And yeah, we're just going to end up with a 2-1-2 on both sides as Fear makes his way down now. Taking a look at the early CS, we can see Shadow Fiend's at the top. He's got 14. 13 for Jo, given the situation he started in. Actually isn't too bad either. 11 for the TA in mid, 11 for Clockwork, so Rattletrap and Lanaya going blow for blow. They're in mid lane. Weaver sitting at 7, and the supports scrounging up their nickels and pennies as usual. And now Jo taking a lot of damage from TC. And Melk doing what he can, stacking this camp. He is level 2, not quite level 3. Level 3 very important for a Keeper of the Light, because at that point, when Chakra Magic hits level 2, he can support his own mana pool and the mana pool of one other person. There's an Impale. They're going to engage out on the Fear. And Bambo doing good damage with Flak Cannon, enough to ward them off from that. So all we can really do is wait and see. I mean, again, even the way the lanes have shaped up, it's all about execution. It's all about decision-making, all about positioning. This is not... In either of these lanes, really, no one has an inherent advantage. If anything, I would say maybe TC does in this lane. Just because he's going to be able to survive forever. It's just going to be so hard to kill him with just 2 heroes there with no dedicated stun. Open Wounds does nothing to slow Shikuchi whenever you use it to escape. Or next to nothing, rather. So he can play a little bit more ballsy. And looks like both teams just content to farm, at least for the moment. We're going to see Melk drop himself a ward. And Jo, we can already see, is beginning to have a little bit of trouble getting up towards the creep wave. We'll have it shoved up under the tower for him. And he takes a little bit of damage from Shikuchi. Double damage rune picked up by TA. And so far, pretty much all quiet on the western front. We're 4.5 minutes in. Tower taking some damage from the creep wave as Milk tries to pull it back. Heard the Fade Bolt go off. Fluff going to take an auto attack or 2. But so far, just a back and forth kind of affair. 2-1-2. We're doing it pub style. Now, in terms of who's going to, if this just if this becomes a sit and farm game, that actually, and in so long as all things are equal, I think that's going to favor Liquid a little bit more. Being able to get a Shadow Fiend and a Weaver off to a good start just gives them so much more ability to participate in fights and to try to expand their influence on a game earlier on. Especially when you compare a Weaver and how he would have felt in an off lane to begin with. What's going to be real important, though, is Bulba is going to have to be a big influencing factor early on because of the fact that he got priority here in mid. And we're going to see an engagement on the Fear. Down goes the Tombstone, and damage being done with Rocket Barrage. Telekinesis going to bring Fear back. He's going to go ahead and spin a Decay. And let's see who's going to end up being our first blood. It is going to be Fluff. Fluff ends up dead. They're going to get 2 for 0. That's just the strength of a Gyrocopter at this level. And is he going to pursue him? He thought about it. He's got Tranquils. Nope, he's just going to cut the creeps. But that's just, again, the strength of these heroes. And this is what I was talking about. I think we just got a good example of that. Everything in that fight went just about as well as it could have for Liquid. But just the combination of these two alone, the continued damage output, the reliable damage output, hold on, looks like we had, Bulba, come on down. But the reliable damage output and spammability of Flat Cannon and Rocket Barrage combined with the inherent problems that an Undying gives you when he drops a Tombstone and you decide to fight on top of it, That's what I mean by robust. It is just well-rounded. And even though they took a lot of damage and almost died in the end, they ended up cleaning up 2, damn near 3. Just because their lineup is so strong and does so well, even in small numbers. And it's only going to magnify as the numbers grow for EG. And what I think is going to happen is we're going to see Liquid begin to take more of a surgical approach. A hit-and-run kind of a style. And try to snowball. Generally speaking, that's how you snowball. Now we're going to see Bambo locked down. A lot of damage being done. Soul Rip's there to buy him time. And now the Tombstone goes down again, and they're going to be in trouble. Mike, You just can't do this. You cannot engage. Even if they had killed the Gyro, I don't think it would matter. He may... Oh, nope, they're going to back off Korak. I was going to say he may be able to pursue him out and dive him. But against an Undying and against a Gyro, because Gyro doesn't even have to be in attack range. Gyro can participate in a fight, and we just saw that there. Bambo participated in that fight, if I'm not mistaken. Standing right about here. Because what he was doing was attacking a creep right about here, and the flat cannon range was about there. So, I mean, he was probably a little further forward, like right there. But that's just the strength of the hero. And Undying is just built to face tank. He's fine with it. He is fine to sit up front, throw out Decay, drop a Tombstone. He is maxing his Tombstone, by the way. He went 1-1-3. So that Tombstone is particularly potent for this level to begin with. Take a look at Milk. Is doing what, skill build you would expect. Jo is honestly on top of the CS board now. That's a big win for them. And now we're going to have Korak engaged upon. He's dead. There's just nothing they can do. Bulba, honestly, he could hook here. I don't think you should. Yeah, and he's not going to. If this Tombstone is down, they can't fight. They just can't. Especially at this level, but it's not going to get a whole lot better 20 minutes from now. Mike, making the old end around, is going to drop down a ward. And Tombstone now has gone away. Yep, another TPN. They may try to move out on this. In the meantime, Demon's making his way down. Not a lot of mana on Korak, or excuse me, Bambo, or on Fear. And Bulba's going to be spotted out. Drops down the cogs. Demon tries to take the wide berth around. It is so hard to avoid those. It is so hard to avoid those. Weaver, in the meantime, does get a kill on Keeper. So that in and of itself is a nice way to get on the board. Not only getting a kill, but getting it on the Weaver. The hero is going to benefit a lot from it. Drum's already done on Bambo. Bambo not doing great in farm. He's at 21. But again, it's been such an active lane, and they have managed to get kills. And Demon, they're just going to dive it. YOLO's his way in with the refraction up. Just about one-shots Mike. Mike making a run for it. He's going to end up dead. Koroks is down for sure. Again, I predicted this. How do you fight? Like, how are you going to fight against this? You have a lot of heroes that can do single target damage and that can be played in a surgical style. If you land your Shadow Raises, a crap ton of damage. Weaver is going to dance around a fight and be impossible to kill, do single target damage. Nyx Assassin going to blow you up single target, so on and so forth. But even in numbers as small as 2, the heroes from EG all work together so well that you just can't fight. And they played that about as ultra aggressively as they possibly could have. And, at this point, I mean, I look at the lineup of Liquid. What are they going to do? They don't have a real way outside of Bulba to deal with the Shadow, with the Lifestealer. And even if they do, even if they manage to land a hook and cog him in, you have TA, who's going to have a Blink Dagger soon, is going to be able to jump on Shadow Fiend and just blow him up over and over again. I mean, not to say the game's over, but I do feel like EG outdrafted Liquid, point blank. I don't feel like there's any question about it. And they have certainly outplayed them in the laning phase. This is just dire straits for Liquid right now, because they do not have a team that can turtle well. They just don't. They have a team that wants to be taking fights on their own terms, especially, and again, I talked about the weaknesses of EG's lineup and where they are right now. EG has a lineup that doesn't have a whole lot of stuns. They have homing missile. They have a lot of slows, a lot of ways to influence a fight, but no dedicated stuns. Liquid isn't much better off, but a little bit better. So the way to abuse this lineup is to take control of the game and take fights on your own terms. Eating Illuminates in the face like that certainly doesn't help. But so long as EG's ahead, they can just dictate the fight over and over again. And now Jo is getting the free farm he wants. He's at 65 last hits. He's going to have an armlet up very, very soon. And I worry quite a bit for Liquid right now. The gold, 4,000 to the advantage of EG, 3,000 experience. And I'll tell you what's heartbreaking about it is you look at Liquid's lineup, and you can see exactly what they're going for. They have the ability to lock down the Lifestealer with the Clockwork. They have excellent right-click and reliable mid-game as well as late-game damage out of Weaver and the Shadow Fiend. The ability to just blow people up because you're right-clicking so hard, especially for Shadow Fiend. You have a nice mix of physical damage and magic damage. Shadow Rays gives you so much extra magic damage in the mid-game. Then you have the physical damage of the right-clicks as mentioned, as well as Nyx Assassin's ability to blow targets up. But they had to have a better laning phase. And by the time the lane switching was done, EG was just ahead in all fronts. And we can see, I mean, Gyro, if there's one bright spot, it's the fact that Bambo is not farming well. That's one thing they can rely on. Problem is, you know, they've got 2 carries that are ahead of Bambo, but TA is going to do just fine carrying the water through mid-game. Yeah, Demon's almost got a Blink Dagger. And TA is a hero that does snowball. In fact, TA snowballs worse than a Gyro. No doubt about it. A TA that gets ahead and gets a bunch of kills early just gets out of control. Gyro, even if he's having a great game, still tends to need a lot of farm to really be effective. And Jo finding what farm he can. But that same thing with Lifestealer. He's just one of those heroes. The further, you know, the more kills he gets, the harder it is to kill him. That actually sounds so simple, it's stupid. But it's the truth. Some heroes just snowball a lot harder than others. And Gyro can snowball, don't get me wrong. But not the way a TA or a Lifestealer can, for the most part. You can still beat him just tactically by focusing him down because he hasn't had time to farm the super survivability items he usually wants. TC just going to go into time-lapse. Jo healing up a bit while he can. But now we see a smoke out of EG. And yeah, Demon with his Blink Dagger ready. Oh, this could... Oh, no. Oh, this is bad. Wow, they're actually going to go on Fluff. Throws the side trap out on Korok. Good! Telekinesis from Fluff. Buys enough time to get his buddy away. Now Bulba's there. And he's going to go ahead and hook in. Down goes the Tombstone. Bulba just going to get blown up, and Fluff managed to steal 2. Nope, he didn't get it. He got Decay. And now Fluff's going to be dove. He got Refraction, actually. Fear going to be engaged upon. Here comes the call down. Mike has up the carapace. It just doesn't matter. And yeah, Fear not going to survive through it. But in the meantime, TC being pursued out. 2 for 1, the trade. Liquid comes up short there. And Fluff is continuing to play YOLO. Very nice Shadow Raises from Korok, though. Clean up the TA. So Liquid does make it a 2 for 2 exchange. But in the meantime, Jo taking farm and about to take a tower. Armlet now complete. And the tier 1 will end up dropping. So that's 2 towers down now, favoring Evil Geniuses. All the towers still standing on the side of Liquid. The gold in excess of 5,000 coming up on 7,500. The experience, though, a little bit smaller. The margin not quite as wide. TC loves to use that time-lapse, man, and why not? Illuminate, nah, that didn't happen. You didn't see that. Time-lapse. Just about 15 minutes into the game, we got 11 kills on the board, the vast majority of which belong to Evil Geniuses, 8-3. Mike trying to find one, and Mike hitting 6 is something that has to happen soon. This is going to be spotted out. I don't know that they can fight this, though. Like, EG may just hang around, really. And yeah, they just, yep, here we go. They're going to go ahead and go on Melk, but JO's right there. Melk's going to be able to juke him out. And if anything, this is about time for Liquid to respond. This is going to be a tough fight for Liquid to take right now. Fighting in a confined area, or around a confined area, we're going to see Demon go ahead and take on a Passenger. And there we go. Bulba going to be the target. There's the Infest out. Cogs are going to go down, but it's going to be too little too late. Throws out a hook. Oh, wow. Demon's going to be telekinesis. Never mind. He is going to be able to make it away. All 4 rushing uphill. There's the call down. That should catch Fluff, and it will. Manages to steal it. Going to go ahead and try to turn it around. There's the ulti coming out from Korok. The damage just not high enough. Fear will be right-click down in the meantime. The rest of Liquid sits scattering. TC going to be able to dodge and illuminate. He's going to go ahead and try to engage on Korok, but he will be cleaned up. And in the meantime, Fluff continuing to play well, finishes off 1 with the Fade Bolt. And Korok trying to get away. While Demon pursues him out, he will be cleaned up. So that's a double kill for Demon. They end up going 3 for 3 there. Make it 3 for 4. As TC does manage to track down another kill. And EG really just went for it there. And that is not exactly how they want to be doing this. They got kited into an area that very much favored Liquid. And everything was just really spread out. Once Demon was telekinesis, they should have just pulled back. Should have just pulled back and did Roche. Or at least hung around Roche. Because what was Liquid going to do with Bulba having no health? But, as is, Liquid making up some ground. EG looking to reverse that trend, trying to take a tower. They're going to drop the tombstone. And there's a homing missile that connects. TC going to Shikuchi himself to safety, but they do end up destroying the tower. There's a good hook that's going to land on Bambo. Bambo cogged in. And Bulba trying to make something happen. Good cooldown, though. And what's Fluff got? Fluff got cooldown again. Mike's going to be cleaned up as Demon joins the fight. Dust's going to go off, and Fluff about to drop. He will end up being killed by Jo. Jo now with his eyes on Bulba. Demon thought about it, thought better of it. Realized how annoying cogs were, and after that, this should be the time to try to take a Roshan. Mana leak on TC. TC spotted out. Will be able to Shikuchi to safety. Now they're just going to turn and probably duck into the Roche pit. That's how EG wants to take fights. That's what I'm talking about. They were all together, and they were able to basically pick a spot of territory, even though it was the clockwork that initiated. The fact that everyone was in a general vicinity. You know, Tombstone went down, that's fine. And they were able to get the most out of the way their skills work together. Instead of all of them, in contrast, pursuing up this way. And then getting caught in this piece of no man's land. Much better engagement that time out of EG. Liquid, though, not about to give up the ghost. They're smoked up. They're going to find Demon. And Mike's going to miss with the impale. Don't think it's going to matter. If Demon gets away here, it's going to be a shame. Drops down the side trap. Here comes the reaction. Hook's going to hit on Demon, so he will end up dropping. Fear's there, and perhaps rethinking his decision. TC pursuing him out. And yeah, the right-click damage out of TC right now is considerable. JO's there, though. And Liquid looking to take a tier 1 of their own. Called out. Should be enough to ward them away. Here comes Jo. And he's going to go ahead and open wounds on Korok. Looks like he thought better of it. Decided to fall back. Illuminate did catch Bulba. At this point, I don't know why EG would do anything but 5-man. They have the advantage in that role. And there's an Illuminate. That's going to catch Korok. Does a good chunk of damage. Mike giving the old okey doke, the old end around. And TC going to go ahead and time lapse. And there's the impale. Going to catch Bambo. Down goes the ward. And telekinesis there. They managed to pick the gyro off. TC now going to be Mana Leak trying to make a run for it. We're going to see the tower end up dropping for sure. Mike's going to be the target. Tries to TP out and will not make it away. In the meantime, here comes Demon ready to re-engage. Fluff going to be blown up. TC in trouble. Korok gets off the ulti, but the damage just not high enough. Even with the second one, it's not enough. TC will not be able to get away. Good hit fest from Jo. Locks him down. And that's going to be a big win for EG. Let's see what they want to do with it. Roshan or tower? Looks like Roche going to be the decision. Sorry, big man. They got it out for you. It's not paranoia. There actually is someone out to get you. With the armor reduction from Meld coming off of our TA, and he actually just built a Crystallis. Holy crap. Not even a Desolator. Just going flat out Crystallis. And JO's actually going to build an Orchid. Hang on, there's a hook going to connect on Milk. Milk's probably dead. There's no probably to it. He is dead, but the Age is going to be picked up by Demon. Demon laying into Bulba. The cogs buy him a little bit of time, but not nearly enough. See you at the base, buddy. I'm not sure what he got. There's a call down, actually. Now Fluff's in trouble. The rich get richer, and Liquid... what was he doing there? You're not going to save Bulba. I mean, that's just not going to happen. And now, all of a sudden, Liquid almost being doubled up, and Korok going to be just flat out jumped upon, accosted by Demon. No follow-ups, though, so he will be able to make it away, but it's really the only phrase I know. Demon just coming out of the woodwork, accosting a poor Korok who's just trying to get some farm. We're at 21 minutes in, almost 21. Take a look at the goal graph. Yeah. About what you'd expect. EG in good shape. Coming up on 10,000 in their advantage, 7,500 experience their advantage. Stand-in Bambo who did not have the best early game, is now beginning to make up some ground. 3 of the top 4 farmers in net worth, all belonging to Evil Geniuses. The Lifestealer, the TA at the top, then Korok, followed by Bambo. And Bambo was at one time being doubled and tripled up by most of the farming carries, so he has actually done a great job of bouncing back. Demon has the Aegis. They're going to look to get some use out of it sometime soon. About 4 or 5 minutes left on it. And yep, we're going to see him brought in by Milk. And here, Bulba going to eat the open wounds. Down goes the Tombstone. Here comes Demon. Demon going to be focused, fired down. He has the Aegis, and he's going to have to use it. Call down will catch everyone. What a huge amount of damage output. Rocket Barrage, call down, Tombstone, you name it. Remember that word, robust? I think that's pretty robust team fight, especially when you're just YOLOing and chest-outing your way behind the enemy Tier 2 at 22 minutes. Tier 2 gonna go the way of EG. It cost them an Aegis, but one they're quite happy to pay for it. And the map control now beginning to get rather sparse for Liquid. There's going to be a hook attempt, not going to connect. Jo raged. Now, Jo having that Orchid up is such a good choice. The ability to lock a Weaver down reliably, to open wounds a Weaver and then Orchid him and be like, nope, you are slow. You actually can't time-lapse. You actually can't go invisible like the jerk that you are. Such a smart play or build for Jo. Because damage is not a problem. I'm still a little surprised that Demon actually went straight up Crystallis. I mean, it's damage, so I mean, it's not like it's like, oh, it's the biggest thing in the world. But usually you'll see Desolator just because of the armor reduction from Meld plus the armor reduction from Deso lets everyone do good damage. But anyway, back to business. Korok once was a poor boy. Nobody loves him. He's just got a BKB and a set of treads at 22 minutes in. Highest farmer on Liquid, but still coming up quite short in comparison to EG. Take a look at the Weaver. Yep. Remember what I was saying? Remember what I was saying, TC? And Bulba might be there to bail him out. Oh, good time lapse. Got away just in time. And Jo gonna have a turn back around on him. He's got an infest if he needs to spend it. And nope, he's just gonna be cleaned up. Here comes Demon though, ready to clean house. And he's gonna be focus fired down. A little bit of save your buddy syndrome. And TC says, yeah, I heard you, AC. Don't worry about it. He can't kill me fast enough yet. Now Liquid rattling their saber in the shadow of this Tier 1 top. Milk pursued out. Fluff's right there. He's going to be silenced after he telekinesis. TC ready to do some damage. Rocket Flare helps. There's Call Down. And they're going to go ahead and bring down the Tombstone. And they may be able to get, not quite get TC for the trouble. The Tombstone being down is actually a big deal. That's a mistake from Fear. Tombstone should not have gone down there. Don't know if they could have saved the tower to begin with, but that Tombstone accomplished nothing. You don't want to throw down a Tombstone as you retreat unless you're just ready to run to the well, which granted, he is running straight for the well, so maybe that was the plan. But if you actually think there's going to be a fight, you want to wait for the equilibrium of aggression. Because what we saw there, I'll go ahead and bring the camera up. What we saw there was Liquid pursuing like this, and bit by bit, step by step, we saw EG falling back a little bit at a time. So what you end up doing is the equilibrium of aggression, where the fight's actually going to happen if you have a fight, it shifts, it keeps moving as the teams chase each other. It's when you decide to turn and fight, and you actually have a chance to fight, that's when you want your little Tombstone. R-I-P. There we go. There's your lesson of the day. But yeah, that's why that Tombstone really just didn't make that much of a difference. Didn't look like they were super committed to trying to fight out over that Tier 1 anyway. But just as a general lesson, thought I would share my thoughts. Equilibrium of aggression. That sounds really wordy for a concept that's much simpler. I'm sure there's a much better way to say it. Tweet at me if you can think of a better way to say it that doesn't sound quite so, I don't know, stupid. Because that does sound kind of stupid. We're at 25 minutes into this game. We got 34 kills on the board. 21 belong to Evil Geniuses. We're all knotted up in this best of 3. Winner going to advance. Loser will drop down to our lower bracket and be one series away from elimination. Showdown of North American talent. And something I should correct, by the way. I was thinking about this during the break. I was talking about teams that are favored to come out of the Western Qualifier. I mentioned, the big names, Alliance, Liquid, And, hold on. We're gonna, never mind, it's Illusion. Alliance, Liquid, and Na'Vi. The teams that I think most people would label as the favorites. Oh, good hook. Hold that thought. Demon engaged upon Bulba. Gonna eat a lot of damage. Now the Cogs really confounding things. Here comes the call down. Tombstone is down as well. Mike gonna end up blown up. Fluff not much better off. And EG clean in house. There's a great hook from Bulba. Got the target he most needed to get. The follow-up just wasn't there. And again, this team of EG that they drafted is just so robust in the way they fight. It's so hard to fight them even under the best of circumstances, even with good initiation. But I wanted to amend my statement that the three favorite teams, being Alliance, Team Liquid, and Na'Vi, need to add another name in there that I think deserves a lot more credit than they get. They're quietly one of the best teams on the planet, is Dignitas. Dignitas is a phenomenal team that I think most people, myself included, I mean, in North America, they certainly are blow for blow with EG and Team Liquid. But they are just quiet. They're a team who quietly comes in and places in the top three of everything, basically. They win a lot of stuff. But if you look at their record and the way they play, they're just quietly always in the running for a championship. Doesn't matter what it is. And that in and of itself is often more remarkable than teams who play okay for a couple of months and then once every 3 months make a big run. I'm not saying that's unacceptable. Na'Vi's the team that does that a lot. But I think it does deserve a lot of recognition for what it is, that even though they're not winning a lot of stuff outright, they're always in the mix to win. Whereas that's not always the case with a team like Na'Vi. Or a team like... Liquid is a lot like that too, though. I mean, EG, their consistency has had some documented struggles and all that. But anyway, let's talk about what's going on. Korok finally has added another item to his inventory. He's picked up the Helm of the Dominator, giving him a little extra armor, as well as a bit of lifesteal. Problem is, his right click, as good as it is at 200, he's going to be level 16 soon. They're just going to need more out of him as they get closer to 30 minutes, I suspect. Going to be a Manta style for TC, helps him with damage, move speed, gives him a little bit more survivability, so on and so forth. Rubik, Bottle and Boots. Bottle and Boots, pretty typical support stuff. Bulba did pick up a Ghost Scepter. That's a really good pickup, actually. Really, really, really good. It's going to allow him to stay in these fights a lot longer, especially when he engages on targets like Demon. Nyx Assassin, pretty barren. Poor Mike, not having the best game. 7-2 for Jo, 6-3 for Demon, 6-3 likewise for Bambo. 4-1-7 for our Weaver, 4-4 for Shadow Fiend, and then a grab bag after that. Keeper of the Light with his mech done. Been done for a bit. Want to see what J.O.'s going to pick up next. He's got himself an armlet, phase boots, plus that Orchid. I still love that Orchid pickup. I think it's just fantastic. Bambo, looking like a pretty typical gyro. Opting to go with the more stable approach. And this is, I would call this the most cookie cutter way to build a gyro. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just very... It's very milquetoast. It's very effective, but very bland. Just getting survivability items that also contribute other things. I mean, the BKB's core... Drums, very nice, stable way to get through to the mid-game in terms of your stats and so on. Then going with a Mana style. Gives you extra damage, gives you extra push, gives you extra survivability. And Old Fear, he actually finished that pipe a while ago, long time ago. He's added a gem to his inventory as well. We're running up on 30 minutes now into this game, and yeah. Believe that tells the story. In excess of 12,000 gold, the advantage of EG, 10,000 experience going their way as well. Now they're smoked up. Potentially looking to make something happen. Roche has respawned. And Demon, with a passenger, can be teleported by Coddle at any point. And Liquid, playing defensive. EG might actually bite off more than they can chew here. And here it comes. Pops the ulti up. Mike's going to be spotted out. Mana leaks there, and Bambo tanking through it quite well. And here comes Demon with the infest. Mike drops immediately. Korok forced to run. Call down is stolen again by Fluff, so he's going to be able to drop that and turn that around. TC going toe-to-toe with the gyrocopter. Good soul rip from Fear. Just kept him alive a little bit longer. He will be cleaned up, I do believe. Nope, never mind. Sitting with no health. Oh, Bambo. You better buy Fear a brewski. Buy the man a brewski. He's got a pipe. Needs a nice... cold brewski while he smokes that pipe because he saved your butt. Very good soul rip from across the battlefield there. 13 to 25, and Roche looking to be the prize of that team fight going the way of EG. And this game beginning to look as if it's winding down. But coming back around to what I was talking about during the draft, this result isn't really surprising. I'm just, like, again, I can see the strengths of Liquid's lineup, but what I can't see is how they actually plan to play if they got behind, if that makes sense. Because, I mean, obviously you're not going to draft the team, be like, well, we got to draft the team that is going to be able to do awesome because we're behind, because we're going to play from behind, and that's the plan. Like, you're not going to say that or do that. But you have to look at a lineup and go, you know what? They got some tough lanes. And they've got some really good carries and semi-carries. They got a TA and a life stealer. That's a lot of damage in the mid-game. Undying's going to make it real hard to fight. You have to look at stuff like that and go, okay, what if we get behind? Can we turtle? How can we take a fight? And I just really, I mean, so far, except for the times when EG is overextended, it's basically been on the back of smoke and just punishing poor positioning for EG. Like, we've yet to see a full 5-on-5 that just went the way of Liquid, that didn't break out in a way that benefited them to begin with. I do feel like they're getting a lot out of this lineup, given how dire the situation is for them. So I'm not saying they're playing poorly. I just, again, think that a lot of this game's result comes down to the draft, and I feel like EG definitely got a big, big advantage there. And looks like we may have the beginnings of a... Yep, we're just going to see Demon with his passenger. Teleported to top via Coddle. We'll see how they want to play this out. Demon's going to go ahead and give the old end around. Going to find himself a haste rune. Not a bad rune to have if you're a TA. And we can see counter warding being done. And Cogs are going to go down to try and buy some time. Demon throws out the side trap. And they're just going to push this in. Yeah, a lot of damage being done already. And that tower not long for the world at all. TC trying to find what farm he can.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
But, so far, the game's still very much in control of Evil Geniuses. Roche, or the Aegis, I'm sorry, has a few more minutes left on it. Is in possession of TA. And the Cog's doing very little. Out comes Jo. And yeah, I mean, it's like, how do they start this fight? Even if, yeah, okay, so you hooked in, Cog's gonna go down. Now, they gotta fight around the tombstone. Here we go. Jo taking a lot of damage. Bulba in trouble below, pops the Ghost Scepter. Korok's doing good damage from the high ground. Demon laying into him. Is gonna be able to pick off one, but the rest of EG just gonna steamroll over them. And yeah, that's pretty much GG. There's no playing from behind now. And yeah, TC got a tower, but oh well. I mean, it's just doesn't matter. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's as good an initiation as they could ask for. But how do you fight around Call Down, Flat Cannon, Rocket Barrage, and Tombstone? How do you do it? I just don't know. Especially when you got to deal with miss percentage, 80% miss chance from Blinding Light. One set of racks down, soon to be two. And EG getting their redemption in a big way. They're just going to rotate straight down. TC's there along with Mike. There's a silence on TC. TC in trouble. He's mana leaked as well. There's a call down coming down. Mike being pursued out and will be cleaned up by Demon. Fluff stole Rage. He's mad. I'd be mad too. Bulba going to hook in. Pipe's going to be popped though. Bulba. Oh, they dropped the tombstone and actually blocked Bamboo in. But even with the buyback from TC, GG's come out. 35 minutes it took them. 33 to 14, make it 34 to 14. And Evil Geniuses, the team who was eliminated, the team who was donezo, knocked out by Absolute Legends in round one, given a chance for redemption when Absolute Legends had to withdraw, meet their biggest rivals on the continent in Team Liquid, and for the second time in 3 days, managed to get a win, advancing themselves to the next round. A team that no one, up until, honestly, I mean, if you look at the actual bet percentages on Gosu Gamers and on Join Dota, etc., if you looked at the bets for EG versus Liquid in those matches, or in that match, it was 90% in favor of Liquid. So up until the last 3 or 4 days, most people had written EG off as a team that was just completely out of their rhythm. But now, brought back from the dead, given another chance to compete for a spot at the G-1 Live LAN Finals. They make it count in the best way they know how, managing to get themselves a 2-1 victory in a series that went the full distance. 36 minutes, 13 seconds, the official game time. 50 kills, almost all of them, in the back pocket of Evil Geniuses. And they advance. Team Liquid not out yet, though. They will be dropping to the lower bracket here at the G1 Champions League, but have a chance to fight their way back.